high in Mexico's central Estrellas Mountains, 9,000 feet above sea level. Where the air thins and temperatures plunge, lies a cave holding one of archaeology's most astonishing secrets. Chiquihuite Cave, a secluded limestone sanctuary almost a kilometer higher than the valley below, had remained mostly untouched by contemporary explorers for ages. For many decades, this desolate cavern appeared to be nothing more than an inhospitable void in the mountain, stark, forbidding, and utterly featureless. Yet, in 2012, when a small team of archaeologists ventured into its depths for what they anticipated would be a routine environmental survey, they stumbled upon something that would dismantle everything we thought we understood about the earliest inhabitants of the Americas. What they uncovered wasn't merely ancient. It was impossibly old. A collection of nearly 2,000 stone tools that, according to radiocarbon dating, indicated human presence in North America not 15,000 years ago, as textbooks claimed, but an astonishing 30,000 years ago. This wasn't merely a new chapter in American history, it was an entirely different narrative. The narrative commences with Dr. Cyprian Ardelin, an archaeologist at the Autonomous University of Zacatecas, whose fascination with Mexico's concealed past would lead him to one of modern archaeology's most hazardous excavations. In 2012, his team arrived at Chiquihuite Cave, aiming to extract ancient pollen samples that might reveal the climate conditions during the Ice Age. The cave's location was exceptionally remote, requiring an arduous ascent up rugged mountain slopes in a region of Mexico currently controlled by violent drug cartels. Merely reaching the site necessitated armed escorts from Mexican federal police and armored vehicles. The scientists would depart before dawn, trekking in darkness to evade detection by cartel lookouts who perceived strangers in their territory as threats to be neutralized. "It is a very unsafe place to travel," recalled Dr. Mikael Winter Pedersen, a geneticist from the University of Copenhagen who joined the expedition. "We were accompanied by police officers and armored cars to the foot of the mountain. We left before sunrise to climb up to the cave so that we weren't spotted." For 10 years, Ardelin would return to this perilous site, sometimes spending months residing within the cave itself, sleeping on its chilled limestone floor, while meticulously excavating layer after layer of ancient sediment. The danger was substantial. The potential reward was rewriting human history. As the team meticulously excavated the cave's sloping floor to a depth of 10 feet, they began unearthing something remarkable. Initially, just a few scattered stones, then dozens, then hundreds. Ultimately, nearly 1,800 stone objects emerged from the cave's interior. Blades, scrapers, projectile points, and flakes produced by the tool-making process. But these were no ordinary stones. More than 90% of them were fashioned from greenish or blackish varieties of recrystallized limestone, hues not naturally occurring within the cave itself. Someone had brought these stones here. Someone had carefully chosen them. Someone had shaped them with exceptional skill thousands upon thousands of years ago. The artifacts were precisely arranged throughout the cave, embedded in distinct layers of gravel and sediment that narrated a story spanning millennia. The team collected 46 radiocarbon samples from animal bones, charcoal, and sediment found alongside the tools. 6 additional samples were dated using luminescence techniques. When the results returned, the archaeologists could hardly believe what they were witnessing. The oldest tools, 239 of them, secured beneath a layer of protective mud, dated to between 25,000 and 32,000 years ago. This was inconceivable, or at least it should have been. Later, a team of international experts descended upon the cave to verify the findings. Specialists in DNA analysis, radiocarbon dating, and lithic technology scrutinized every artifact, every sample, every layer of sediment. The tools themselves were extraordinary. The collection reveals advanced flaking skills applied to a challenging raw material, the research team noted in their paper published in the prestigious journal Nature. These were not curiosities, nor crude rocks randomly chipped by natural forces. They were sophisticated implements that demanded knowledge, planning, and expertise to create. The manner in which the limestone had been worked exhibited a technological tradition unlike anything previously observed in the Americas. These tools did not resemble the famed Clovis points that predominated North America 13,000 years ago. They did not correspond to the tool-making styles of any known prehistoric culture in Mexico, South America, or Asia. This was something entirely distinct, something utterly unknown. Archaeologists dated the artifacts to between 25,000 and 30,000 years ago, a period known as the last glacial maximum, when colossal ice sheets covered much of North America and the world was gripped by a severe ice age. According to conventional archaeological understanding, humans had not yet even entered the Americas. The Bering Land Bridge from Siberia to Alaska would not become passable for thousands of years to come. Yet here, high in the mountains of Mexico, someone was crafting tools, seeking refuge, and surviving in one of Earth's most challenging climatic eras. The uncovering of the Chiquihuite cave artifacts is particularly noteworthy because these individuals are a complete enigma. They left no descendants. They contributed no genes to modern Native Americans. Their culture vanished without a trace, swallowed by time as thoroughly as if they had never existed. No human remains have been discovered in the cave. No bones, no teeth, no mummified bodies that might yield DNA evidence. The team extracted ancient DNA from the sediment layers, identifying genetic material from black bears, rodents, bats, voles, and even kangaroo rats that once inhabited the cave. But human DNA? Nothing. We don't know who they were, where they came from, or where they went, Dr. June Ardeline admitted in an interview. They are a complete enigma. The absence of human genetic material actually supports the theory that these ancient visitors did not reside in the cave permanently. They arrived, stayed for a time, perhaps during particularly harsh winters when the cave's natural insulation offered life-saving shelter. And then they departed. We think people spent part of the year there, using it as a winter or summer shelter, or as a base to hunt during migration, explained Professor Eske Villerslev, an evolutionary biologist at the University of Cambridge and one of the study's lead authors. This could be the America's oldest ever hotel. The absence of written records, skeletal remains, or living descendants renders the reconstruction of these people's lives extraordinarily challenging. Yet, the artifacts themselves whisper clues across the millennia. The stone tools, with their advanced flaking techniques, reveal a population of skilled craftspeople who possessed an intimate understanding of their materials. The fact that they preferentially selected greenish and blackish limestone, rare colors in the local geology, suggests aesthetic preferences or perhaps spiritual significance attributed to certain stones. The diversity of tool types indicates varied activities: cutting, scraping, piercing, hunting. The team also uncovered charcoal deposits throughout the cave, radiocarbon dated to between 12,000 and 32,000 years ago. While some of this charcoal might have resulted from natural events like lightning strikes, the researchers believe much of it originated from fires deliberately set by humans seeking warmth in the frigid Ice Age climate. The cave's environment during this period would have been dramatically different from today. DNA. Analysis of ancient pollen revealed evidence of Douglas fir trees, species that no longer grow in Mexico, alongside juniper, pine, spruce, and other cold climate vegetation. It would have looked like Oregon or British Columbia, said Ardeline. You would completely not recognize it. Lakes and hot springs would have dotted the landscape. Herds of massive Ice Age mammals, mammoths, mastodons, giant ground sloths, would have roamed the forests. For humans adapted to this environment, the cave would have been an invaluable refuge. The disappearance of these ancient people remains one of the most haunting mysteries in American archaeology. They simply vanished, not gradually assimilated into other populations, but completely erased from the genetic record. Several theories attempt to elucidate this enigma. Perhaps they were part of an early migration wave that failed to establish a permanent presence in the Americas. Small populations, isolated by vast distances and harsh climates, might have simply died out before they could expand across the continent. The Ice Age was brutal and unforgiving. One particularly severe winter, one failed hunt, one outbreak of disease could have spelled extinction for a tiny band of pioneers. Or perhaps they were eventually overwhelmed by later migration waves. The ancestors of modern Native Americans, who arrived via the Bering Land Bridge around 16,000 years ago, and whose superior numbers or technology allowed them to dominate the landscape. In this scenario, the Chiquihuite people might have been slowly displaced, their culture forgotten, their bloodline diluted beyond recognition, or eliminated entirely. Or perhaps their decline began even earlier, before the last glacial maximum ended, driven by environmental changes, resource depletion, or conflicts we can only imagine. The silence of the cave on this matter is absolute and deafening. The artifacts themselves reveal something profound about these mysterious people's worldview. The very location of Chiquihuite Cave suggests this was no casual shelter. At an elevation of 9,000 feet, nestled on a mountainside with panoramic vistas of the valley below, the cave would have demanded considerable effort to access even in favorable conditions. During the last glacial period, with ferocious storms, hail, and snow assaulting the landscape, reaching this location would have been perilous, according to Ardeline. Yet, year after year, over millennia, potentially as many as 16,000 years, judging by the assortment of dated artifacts, people consistently returned. Why? What compelled them to this specific spot, generation after generation? The cave's strategic placement might have offered defensive advantages, enabling small units to detect approaching predators or rival factions from distant ranges. However, it might have also possessed spiritual importance. Within numerous indigenous American cultures, caves signify sacred realms, gateways to the underworld, the womb of the Earth Mother, and abodes of formidable spirits. For the Chiquihuite people, this secluded, formidable cavern likely held profound religious meaning. A sanctuary where shamans communicated with supernatural entities, or where crucial rituals marking seasonal transitions or life milestones were conducted. The unveiling at Chiquihuite Cave introduces a groundbreaking dimension to the history of the Americas, a region whose human past is considerably older and more intricate than previously conceived. Throughout most of the 20th century, archaeologists concurred on a relatively straightforward account. Humans traversed the Bering Land Bridge from Siberia to Alaska roughly 13,000 years ago, when receding ice sheets formed a migration corridor southward. These individuals, identified as the Clovis culture due to their distinct spear points, were assumed to be the sole and initial settlers of the Americas. Nevertheless, over recent decades, this neat narrative has crumbled under a deluge of fresh evidence. Discoveries in Oregon, Texas, Florida, Chile, and Brazil have independently yielded artifacts or human remains dated to 14,000, 15,000, and even 16,000 years ago. Each finding extended the timeline, compelling archaeologists to revise their theories regarding the timing and manner of human entry into the Western Hemisphere. Now, Chiquihuite Cave threatens to push that date back by an additional 15,000 years, effectively doubling the established timeline of human presence in the Americas. The archaeological team is currently meticulously examining the Chiquihuite artifacts using the most advanced techniques available. The stone implements are undergoing microscopic use-wear analysis to ascertain their precise functions, whether for butchering meat, scraping hides, carpentry, or other uses. Residue analysis could uncover traces of blood, plant matter, or other organic compounds adhering to the tool's surfaces, even after 30,000 years. The team is also performing further isotopic analysis on the limestone to pinpoint the exact geological origins of the raw material, which might unveil ancient trade networks or migration routes. Ongoing DNA sampling of the sediment layers continues, with the hope of detecting human genetic material possibly overlooked in earlier investigations. Moreover, researchers are preparing to explore unexcavated sections of the cave, including areas nearer to the entrance where daily life activities, such as cooking and tool repair, would have occurred. Each new analysis holds the potential to illuminate another aspect of this profound enigma, disclosing specifics about a lost world and a forgotten people who inhabited the earth before recorded history. For contemporary archaeologists, Chiquihuite Cave is both a treasure trove and a cautionary tale. The cave's remote location and challenging accessibility, encompassing both the physical demands of the terrain and the tangible threats posed by drug cartel violence in the region, render excavation exceptionally difficult. The absence of human remains or more definitive proof of occupation allows for skepticism. Indeed, many archaeologists remain unconvinced that the stone artifacts are genuinely human-made, rather than geoacts shaped by natural geological processes. Critics cite the primitive appearance of many tools, the lack of hearths or refuse middens, and the absence of butchered animal bones as evidence that the cave was never truly inhabited. James Chatters of Central Washington University has proposed that limestone, naturally fractured by rockfall from the cave ceiling, could easily be mistaken for rudimentary tools. Nevertheless, the discovery has ignited intense debate and rekindled interest in Mexico's prehistoric past, a region often overshadowed by the more renowned archaeological sites of Peru, Chile, and the American Southwest. Ardelin and his colleagues intend to conduct extensive surveys throughout the surrounding mountains, seeking other caves or rock shelters that might contain similar evidence. If Chiquihuite was not an isolated anomaly, but rather part of a broader pattern of Ice Age inhabitation, the implications would be monumental. The narrative of Chiquihuite Cave exemplifies courage, perseverance, and the ceaseless human drive to discover truth despite peril and uncertainty. What began as a straightforward environmental study, an endeavor to extract ancient pollen to reveal Ice Age climatic conditions, evolved into a decade-long journey that challenged fundamental assumptions about American prehistory. The archaeologists who dwelled in this cave, who scaled its treacherous approaches before dawn to evade cartel spotters, and who painstakingly excavated layer after layer of ancient sediment, have presented us with a gift. Evidence that humanity's story in the Americas is significantly older, more peculiar, and more enigmatic than previously conceived. Nearly 2,000 stone tools, meticulously crafted from select limestone and left behind in a high mountain cave, whisper to us across 30 millennia. They speak of individuals who defied the most severe climatic catastrophe in recent Earth history, who sought refuge in stone, who endured when survival seemed impossible. These bygone Americans, though vanished and nameless, have bequeathed a legacy carved in rock. As researchers continue to examine these invaluable artifacts, employing cutting-edge technology to elicit secrets from ancient stone and sediment, they aspire to reconstruct more of this lost people's narrative, to illuminate a previously concealed chapter of human history, and perhaps answer the most haunting question of all. Who were these mysterious pioneers, and what became of them? Thank you for watching and accompanying us on this expedition into the deepest mystery of the Americas. If you relished exploring the enigma of Chiquihuite Cave and the unknown people who faded into the mists of time, please like, share, and subscribe for more stories that unveil the forgotten chapters of human history. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What do you believe became of these Ice Age explorers? Did their lineage simply vanish? Or might their progeny still be present in our modern world, their ancestral roots obscured by time? Until our next encounter, remain inquisitive, stay motivated, and continue to delve into the marvels of our distant past.